you hear me? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
So, all ready for the session? Today, yesterday's session, after the yesterday's session, I told you all I'm going to ask you one question. So, did you come across anyone when you started thinking? Because after the 14th chapter, literally everyone whom I felt was very different from my routine understanding of, this person supposed to be. I started remembering the chapter 14. Did it happen to you that you came across someone where you felt that this person is different, but maybe because his mode is different? Did the modes run before your eyes when you saw a person different, or you sort of never had a chance to meet someone different? Did it happen? Yes, no, or nothing happened? You can always tell. I mean, it's your experience. You don't have to mirror mine. Hare Krishna. Anybody there? Everybody there? You can mute yourself.
Yeah, when we get an understanding of the three modes, definitely we start really looking out for
exactly.
that.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So every time I see a person deviating, even if it's good or bad, this particular chapter keeps coming. Not exactly in terms of chapter number 14, but the background of it, the modes start playing a role. Right. So thank you so much.
Trying to evaluate ourselves also, in fact, whenever we do something,
sure.
It's our mind also.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So today we will start with the 15th chapter. So anyone knows the name of the chapter, of this chapter?
Purushottama Yoga.
Yeah, perfect. Purushottama Yoga. And the entire chapter is there at my visuals backdrop. So let's start off with Mangalachanam. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimra Andasya Jnananjala Chalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Tadati Swapadatikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopeshu Gopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpadarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Titanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Come on, all of you. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Rama
Hare,
Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare.
So Hare Krishna. So let's start. So Purushottama Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person. Purushottama means Krishna, right? So that you all will be knowing. So quick recap of the 14th chapter, we saw the three modes. Now, three modes are liberation, conditioning of the three modes we saw. And we also saw the description of the binding of the mode, which one races, right? Now supremacy of the three modes. Now the three modes are running. So which one is, I'm not going to ask which is great among the three, because that is mode of goodness. But what I'm going to ask you is, which among the three is more powerful? Which one is more powerful to win over a person? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. You can answer.
Goodness.
Mode of goodness is the more expected one, but good try. Thank you so much. But which one is more powerful? of the three modes, because all three keep raising. Mode of goodness should be powerful, but unfortunately, if mode of goodness is powerful, most of us will be in mode of goodness. But unfortunately, none of us, at least I'm not there in mode of goodness. So where do you get there? So which mode dominates?
Ignorance.
Sorry?
Ignorance.
Yeah, that's true. Partially, it seems like that. But I'm so happy you all are trying. Mode of ignorance, actually, we always feel mode of ignorance takes over, because in Kali Yuga, mode of ignorance and passion is only very high. And for passion to move to ignorance is faster than goodness. But the answer is still not right. So which mode has a chance? So inside you, there are three modes, right? You have goodness also, passion also, and ignorance. Which mode do you think is the mode which can win? Which will be the first rank, or which has the possibility of winning?
Passion.
Sorry?
Passion.
You're talking about yourself. Okay, so the actual answer is all three. All three modes have equal chance of winning, right? Because they are all running. They have a constant race. They have, now the mode which runs in your life and the mode which wins in your life is decided by you. So you decide which mode has to win, but technically all three have an equal chance. So there is nothing called one mode is superior than the other. Yes, qualitatively, yes. But in terms of quantity, in terms of which can dominate over another, there is no right or wrong answer, because all three equally run and get over it. So that's the thing. And action and death within the three modes is what we are talking about. Right? So we're talking about action and death, which happens within the particular mode. And transcending the modes is like, how do you literally manage to get out of the mode is what we are talking about. How do you transcend the mode? How can you get over the mode? Now, chapter 15 talks about, something. Now we spoke about the modes, and the modes clearly tell higher planets are in the mode of goodness. Lower planetary system out of the 14 planets are in the mode of ignorance, right? So how do we, what actually happens? How do you detach yourself? So let's say that we all love swimming, but we've jumped into a lake and our legs are tied with gets knotted with the lotus stem, right? And thankfully we have a knife. What will you do? What will you start doing? You love the somebody. Nobody. So, this root or stem, sorry, and you have a knife, what would you try and do?
Bluetooth mode.
So silent. Would you like to stay in the lake and permanently sit there, make any attempt to cut it and come out? Yeah, your voices are so feeble, or you all are not talking, I don't know. I've even put a speaker just to make sure that I don't miss anyone speaking.
Yeah.
Can you? Yeah. So what would you do? All of you, silent.
There was some disturbance earlier, Mataji. That's why.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so if you jump into the sea, in a lake where there is lotus, and the lotus stem knots your leg, and that's a lake which you like, and the lotus also you like, but you have a knife in your hand, what would you try and do?
Try to escape.
Thank you so much. Exactly, we'll try and escape. And here is 1 to 5 is talking about that. How can you become detached from the material world, right? So why? Because the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. And 6 to 11 talks about Purushottama Yoga, which is transmigration. And 12 to 15 talks about Krishna's position as a maintainer, right? So we're going to see how is his position as the maintainer. And 16 to 20, Purushottama Yoga, the 3 slokas, right? We saw this in the 10th chapter, 8, 9, and 10, and 11. Talks about which means it talks about relationship. And the next is the process and the goal. Likewise is 18, 19, 20, which is like the 3, which talks about what is a relationship, right? And of all, the 15.15 is very important, because Krishna is telling about the importance of Vedas, how he wrote, and how one can. So let's dive into the chapter 15.1. Hare Krishna. While I'm going to start the chapter, as usual, I'll tell the sloka and you'll do it. Again, I'm telling what would you like to hear? Story or you want bridge? And if you want a story, just tell me on what lines you want. You want story about Krishna, Radharani, or what kind of stories you want. Otherwise, I have a story about Mrigari which I can share. You can just type in the chat and I start off with this. Hare Krishna. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Urdhva Moolam Adasakam Ashwattham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnami Yastam Veda Sa Veda Ved. Hare Krishna. Yeah, please read. Would anybody like to read?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas.
So very beautifully is telling Urdhva Moolam means root part. Roots are up and Adha Sakyam means it's upside down. Branches are all downwards, right? It's called the Ashwagandha tree. And they say that if anybody understands a tree, then it means that you know everything. So what is there? The branches are down. The leaves, whatever are there, represents a Vedic kind. So in the next picture, you'll be able to see clearer. So let me just explain each one, right? So you can see this tree and we'll take some time to understand the tree. Can anyone tell me who's this person?
Lord Brahma.
Very nice. Yes. And he? Yeah.
Lord Ganesh.
Ganesha, very nice. Oh my God, my arrow's going off here. One with the Veena.
Saraswati.
Superb. Here.
Suryadev.
Perfect, Suryadev. So can you see all of them in the first row represents the Devatas, right? Demigods, which means the topmost represents mode of goodness, right? Now, so this is one line. Now, if you can see the leaves, which we already read in the previous sloka, represents the Vedic hymns. Now, you will also see that different fruits are there. Liberation, which is called moksha, and religiosity, which is dharma, economic development, artha, kama is sense gratification, right? So these are the various fruits, right, which you can see. Now, if you see the top, we saw demigods. We are also seeing here at this level, at the middle level, mode of passion, right? A guy who's doing business, a Vaishya, right? The top represents goodness, praying and all that. And down you see mode of ignorance. Now this applies to animals also. Like yesterday, I wanted to tell you this, which I'm going to cover today. Have you, you can train a dog, right? You give food to a dog, even if it's a stray dog, it is very loyal to you. You do the same thing to a snake. Will a snake also understand and be loyal to you?
No,
No,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Why? Every day you're feeding milk, but why not the snake? So we understand the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance among the animals. We don't understand only among humans. Just like how the the moods dominate among animals, it dominates among human beings also. So cow is in mode of goodness, and all your dog and your lion, tiger are in the mode of passion, right? They're constantly searching. And your snakes, monkeys, garden lizards, all these are in the mode of ignorance. No matter what you do, they'll have the tendency to get disturbed. And sense gratification, classic example is deer, right? If you play a nice music, deer will run after it and it will fall. Now the left-hand side talks about all the pious acts, right? They are doing all yagnas and all. And right-hand side is impious activities, right? Having a relationship. So now, have you ever seen an upside-down tree in our earth? Is there anywhere you've seen? Has anybody seen?
No, Mataji.
Okay. I have seen actually. There is a way, I can't say place, I would say there's a way how we can see an upside down tree. Can anyone guess what is that way? And this is the spiritual world. So we are talking about the material world. So there is a way in which we can see the tree upside down. When does a tree appear upside down? Mirror, water reflection. So when you see it on a lake or a river, it will give an upside down look, right? When you're watching that. So that is the reflection, right? So same way, the reflection of this tree, the upside down tree, right? The actual tree is here. For us, it's upside down, is on the basis of the water becomes the medium. Here, the medium is desire. So just as water acts as a medium for the tree to reflect upside down, desire becomes a medium for this tree to start looking upside down. Krishna. Yeah. Next one. Hare Krishna, 15.2. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this tree with the weapon or detachment. So doing, one must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns, and their surrender to that supreme personality of Godhead, from whom everything has begun and in whom everything is abiding since time immemorial. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So very clearly the branches of the tree are extending downward and nourishes by the three modes, right? So that's happening. And the twigs are the objects of senses. So we can see these twigs are the sense objects. In the tree also the roots are down, which we already saw, and the fruits represent Artha Kama Moksha. So what we saw so far, we know. The only thing is what are the twigs represent is the object of senses, right? So you can see here the small twigs, which is one thing which we didn't connect, is the sense objects, right? So it's upside down tree. Now we just said if we are in lake, even if we like the lake, we want to cut it out. So now we are in material world and we want to cut that out. So let's see how we can do it. 15.3 and 4. Please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one can cut down this tree with the weapon of detachment. So doing, one must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns, and there surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything has begun and in whom everything is abiding since time immemorial.
Very clearly it says that the real form of the tree one cannot perceive at all, right? No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where the foundation is. But how do we get to know about the tree is just that when someone goes there, they will never return. That is confirmed. So the specialty of the tree is once you go there, the chance of returning is absolutely zero, right? Because spiritual world is a permanent place. So basically the material world, we and all have been from time immemorial. Instead of analyzing most of the time, this is like, let me tell you this, COVID, right? Or cancer. Anyone has cancer, they will keep on analyzing, how did I get it? From where did I get it? Or anything for that matter. Who had it in my family? So for New Year, we all had been there. And what happened is we, all of us incidentally met and all of us had full batch got COVID. And all of us were analyzing who got COVID, through whom, how, because of whom we got COVID, who could be the cause, who gave, but is it of any use? End of the day, all had to quarantine, have the medicines and check oxymeter, right? So the analysis behind it is of no use because it's neither productive nor is it informative, right? So anyway, what's going to happen is going to happen. So that is what, but we keep analyzing this, which is of no use. So this is a very cute verse, Hare Krishna. Na tad bhashayate suryo na shashanko na pavakah yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Hare Krishna.
That abode of mind is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by electricity. One who reaches it never returns to this material world.
Hare Krishna. So you all want to go to the spiritual world, right? So now there is no current, no electricity. Is that okay? Is it okay for you all to go there to a place that any guesses? So we are all aiming to go there. Now we knew about Krishna, so we all love to go there. But there is no sun, moon, or electricity. So how will you manage? Any guess? Any idea? Yes, Vaishnavi, I'll tell the story. Hare Krishna. So you don't need electricity there because I told Krishna's effulgence is so bright, right? So automatically there is natural light. So this is how it is. So it's naturally very bright. Hare Krishna. 15.7. Mamai vamso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manasasthani indriyani prakritistani karshati. Hare Krishna.
The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal, fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
Very clearly saying that the living entity in this world is eternal, fragmented parts. However, the condition is struggling very hard with the six senses. So, what are the six senses? Oh, it's already the answer, right? All our sense objects, including mind. Why they say mind? Because mind is the most dominating thing, right? So, therefore, including mind is mentioned here. 15.8, Hare Krishna. Shariram yad avapnuti yachapi ukramatishvarah grihitvaithani samyani vayurgandan ivashayat. Hare Krishna.
The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas.
Really saying the living entity in the material world, it carries various conceptions from one life to another body, right? Just like how the air is carrying the aroma, the living entity is carrying from one body to another. So basically, what we've been doing is permanently we are in the tree, jumping from one branch to another, maybe animal branch or maybe to a demigod branch. But then the body is just changing from one to another, but it's not solving the problem. It's like in your lotus stem, we are getting stuck from one stem to another, but that's not helping, right? We have to get out of that. So that's what we're going to see. 15.9, Hare Krishna.
The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, tongue, and nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects.
So the living entity will take a particular type of body, right? Like whatever it is, a particular tongue or a nose. But based on the body, he is enjoying, right? So he has to do. That's how he is destined. Hare Krishna. Utra mattam stitam vapi janam va gunanvitam vimudana pashyanti jnana chakshushu. Hare Krishna.
The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this.
So the fool can definitely not understand how one can quit the body or what body he'll be able to enjoy everything, right? Because he is not able to get a grip of it. But for example, like a car, if the car goes down, we will find it difficult to fix, but the technician is just going to take it a second, right, for him to manage. So for somebody who can, jnana chakshushu means with knowledge, eyes of knowledge, when he sees, he can clearly understand how the modes behave. So today, just remind me, Rigari, I will explain to you about his, and I'll take you through his story. Let 15.11. Hare Krishna. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please read.
The endeavoring transcendentalist who is situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to.
So very clearly he says that only a transcendentalist who can see vision clearly, he is the only one who will be able to see. Others won't be able to see it at all. Right? So that's what 15.13. Avishya cha bhutani dharayami aham ojasa ushnami chaushati sarvah samo bhutva rasatmakah. Hare Krishna.
I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables.
So what they are talking about is basically I enter the planet and my energy, they say, right? For example, Krishna is in each planet, right? And he says he becomes a moon. In fact, I didn't know this earlier, but then when I did a research, I understood that moon plays a very large role in cultivation of vegetation, right? So we've been thinking, but then moon plays a vital role about vegetation. So all this comes because of the moon. So that's what Krishna is telling. So if you read this, gravity is a very important force, right? It keeps our planets orbiting. And he says that Balram, right, is the one who is responsible for this gravitation. So all this happening, right? So everybody, before you found that gravitation force existed, even before Newton did, the gravitation force did exist, right? So this is what Krishna is telling. So it keeps everything in place. Now, is it only the light? There are two beautiful verses, which are 13 and 14. 13 talks about how a gravitation force entangles and keeps in place, right? It's talking about material nature. And now 14 talks about yourself, how heat and Krishna plays a role within your body. This external material world, and another one is inside us. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritah Prana Pana Samayuktah Ami Anana Chaturvidah. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Can somebody read?
I enter into each planet.
Yeah, please read.
I am the fire of digestion in every living body, and I am the air of life, outgoing and incoming, by which I digest the four kinds of foods.
Very clearly. So he's telling four kinds of food. What is it? The food which we chew, the food, right? We chew, the food which we swallow, the food which we drink, and also the food which is basically solid, semi-solid, the liquid, and which is one more, the one which is sucking, right? Whenever sucking, I remember this somebody from Hyderabad. I think of this what is it called? I'll tell you in a minute. It's a kind of a mango and rastal. So this rastal is a fruit where you can't cut and eat. You only have to make a hole and drink like a juice. It's one of the tastiest mango I've had. I don't think we get it. I'm looking forward to someone who comes from Hyderabad to get this food. So these are the four types, right? And how does it happen? Because there's a fire. So can you see the fire? In fact, Ayurveda also tells that the fire in the belly is the one which really creates, facilitates digestion of the food. Hare Krishna. There's a beautiful verse, 15.15. Sarvasya chaham viti sannivisto mattas smriti jnanam apo ahnam sa vedesha sarver aham eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid eshaham. Hare Krishna.
I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas am I to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
So very clearly what he's saying is, I am the compiler of Vedas and I am the knower of the Vedas. Why? Many times we have this feeling. We write an exam, come out the exam, and when someone asks, how did you write? I have no idea. I have no idea what I wrote. Yes or no? Happens for me most of the time. How about you all?
Yes, Mataji.
Right? So even though we are the writer of the paper, right, we have no clue. But here, that's why Krishna, knowing people like us, he's told very clearly, I compile the Vedas and I know the Vedas. Unlike us, where we write and come, we have no clue on what we have written. 15.16 talks about two set of people who is fallible and infallible. Who are the two sets? They are the people in the material world like us who are fallible, which means fallible means fallible, right? Who make mistakes. Infallible are perfect people who are in Goloka. This is what he's talking about. Please read. Hare Krishna.
There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every entity is called infallible.
You can go ahead until 15.17.
Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Lord Himself, who has entered into these worlds and is maintaining them.
So he's telling besides the two, he says that the greatest living personality is the Lord himself, right? So Krishna himself is entering. So besides the two, Jivatma, there is so Paramatma who is never fallible, right? So he's so there is a third person he's talking about who, besides two category of living entities, there is one who's Krishna, who's maintaining them is infallibly so perfect. So that's true, right? So let me tell you the story in between. So this is Krishna and his 16,000 wives. So does anyone know how Krishna married so many girls? Does anyone know about that Krishna marrying so many girls, how it happened? Know the story?
No, Mataji, but I know that they were all basically him.
Sorry?
They were all him.
No, they were not him. So basically the girls are
Krishna,
not Krishna. These girls
no,
are
no, Krishna, see that every girls see that as a Radha, so part of Radha, so Radharani, so he.
okay. Oh, that's true. All are expansions of Radharani. You're talking technical. That is very nice. Hari bol. So that is very right. But the story behind this, I can tell you. So the story behind this is basically they are all, you know it?
Yes, Mataji. Actually, he kills
Go ahead.
Narakasura.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, these women, they just have sex workers, I think.
No, correct. You're correct.
Lord Krishna kills the Narakasura, so all this say that they could not live in the society. Therefore, Krishna marries all them.
Yeah, so basically the story
I
is
just know
perfect.
roughly.
Yeah, so basically this villain picks up all these girls who are all princesses of the various Kshatriya kings, and they are totally 16,000 in number. And after he kidnaps Krishna, rescues them. Those days, it's like the women leave the father's house, they go to the husband's house, and they leave the husband's house, they go to grave. That's only when they die. So here the girls have been kidnapped, so they will never be accepted back by the father. And even though they are all healthy, safe, and Krishna protected, and Krishna comes with Satyabhama and protects them and takes care. And all of them this is one thing. So therefore, he had to marry them. Also, from childhood, they've always prayed for Krishna to be the husband. So their wish also gets fulfilled. Also, one more story is who are these people in the previous yuga, which is the Treta Yuga. The rishis, see Krishna, Rama, in fact, Rama is very excited that day because Hanuman saves the life of Lakshmana. So immediately hugs Hanuman. And all the sages were very excited to be having that bhava with him, to have the very close relationship. And that time Rama says that when I am as Ram, I will never think in anything, think of anyone, right, in the form of love. So, but when Supreme Person, when I reappear in my original form as Supreme Person in the next yuga, that time, I will satisfy everybody. So these are the sages who are born as beautiful young girls, and during Krishna's time they marry. So now you'll be wondering, Madhurya Rasa can be applicable only for girl. No, it's not like that. Madhurya Rasa is the highest rasa, which means you can serve in all the varieties, right? So there are 5 rasas, starting with what's called the Shantras, which means serving in neutrality. Example, the flute, they also serve Krishna, right? But they are not very active. And cows, all this will come under Shantras. And the next rasa which we are talking about is Dasya rasa. Example is Hanuman, right? He serves Krishna. And Chitraka, Patraka, there are a lot of people for Krishna also. And can someone tell me Sakya rasa, who's a friend of Krishna? Who's serving as a friend?
Arjuna.
Sorry? Absolutely, bang on. Arjuna, right? So he's in the Sankhya Ras. And Vatsalya Ras. Vatsalya Ras is anybody in Vatsalya Ras is a parental. Who serves Krishna as a parent? Parent. Krishna is a child. Come on, I thought it's the easiest answer. Who takes care of Krishna as a small child? Yashodama. Nanda Maharaj, Devaki, all of them, right? And finally is the Madhurya, which is the highest, which is, we have Radharani, who is the highest, and the various gopis, and they're all expansions of Radharani, as she rightly said. So they are all in the Madhurya Rasa, even the queens, Dwaraka queens, all the 16,108, wives, all of them are in that. So these are the rishis. So they take that rupa because they want to serve in all. 15.18 Hare Krishna. Yasma charam atito aham aksharadapi chotamah atosmi lokavadecha ratita Purushottama. Hare Krishna.
Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Person.
He says very clearly that beyond the fallible and infallible, I'm the greatest and I'm celebrated in both the worlds, right? So both the world and both Vedas, I'm the supreme person. So I'm celebrated in both. Example, spiritual world. You see, all the demigods are taking his blessings, right? And if you treat Brahma is, can anyone meanwhile tell who's this, who's he behind, right? Don't tell me Vishnu, but I'm asking which Vishnu. So Brahma, when everybody came and asked him to save the earth from bad people and all the things which are going on, that time Brahma talks to him in the mind and Vishnu talks to him in the mind. So who's that? Who's this Vishnu? Keep telling me. And here, thank you so much. Perfect. Shiro Dakshai Vishnu, Paramatma. Perfect. Bang on. Hare Krishna. Many of them tell this wrong. So nice. So proud of you. And now back to Shiva. Same thing happening. Shati is asking, who is the best person? Whom do you always think of? So he's chanting, Aradhananam Sarvesam Vishnu Aradhanam Param Asma Parataram Devi Sadayartam Samarchanam. So he says that of all, worshipping Vishnu is the highest, and devotees of Vishnu still higher, right? So he's like really mad of Vishnu. And 15.19, Hare Krishna. Yomam eva asammudo janati Purushottamam sasarvavid bhajatema sarvabhavena bharata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is to be understood as the knower of the everything, and he therefore engages himself in full devotional service, O son of Bharata. Hare Krishna.
So he says that whoever knows me, right? He says whoever knows me as a Supreme Person of Godhead without even a small doubt, he will be understood as someone who knows everything, right? And he can engage us in full devotional service. So he's giving guarantee. He says the person knows me very well and he will engage me in full, complete devotional service. He is very beautifully saying this. So what is he saying? So whoever understands this will be completely dedicated to Krishna. Yeah, next one. Please go ahead. 15.20. Sorry, this is the last one.
This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection.
Very clearly, this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, and he's disclosing it. So he's telling, I am disclosing it, and he's telling to Arjuna, right? And whoever understands this obviously will become perfect and will reach perfection, right? So he says, whoever understands this will become very wise. So that's what he is beautifully telling. So he's saying that somebody who understands this can be perfect and will be very wise. So this is a beautiful saying. And with this, we will conclude the 15th chapter. So very quickly, the tree represents the upside down back. It's a banyan tree, which is upside down. And the whole idea is, the original version is in the spiritual world. And whatever we are having here is the reflection, right? The reflection is based on desire. So this will come to an end. Vancha kalpa durubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanan pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. Come on, all of you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama,
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, all of you. So story, any doubts you ask me, I can answer, and otherwise we can go to the story. Any doubts? No? Now I'm going to ask you one question before I start the story. And I'm going to talk to you about the story of Mrigari, right? And who is Mrigari and what kind of a person, all this we'll see now. But before that, all I wanted to ask you is there a possibility to jump from one mode to another? This will be your doubt, right? Maybe I'm born in ignorance. And if I have to jump from which mode to another, aren't these doubts coming in your mind, or is it just in my mind? You'll also have these doubts?
Yes, Mataji.
Let's see and hear the story from Bhagavatam, which are life lessons, right? When someone tells stories, we don't hear. These are not stories, these are actual history which has happened. So Narada sees this hunter called Brigari who keeps, killing animals. And how he kills animals is he doesn't kill them completely. He will hit them in such a way that animal struggles and to death after a long time. So Narada Muni goes and tells, okay, you want to kill the animal, that's fine. But then why do you want to kill in such a bad state? Why do you kill in that kind of a painful state? And Brigari says, that's how my father used to do and my grandfather used to do, and that's why I'm doing. And he immediately has a conversation. Sees the beauty of Narada Muni. He could have said that killing is wrong, right? So immediately people will not even listen to him, but he's beautifully taking it, right? He's making him realize, he's staging, and then he shows a complete visuals of what is happening and all that. And immediately he says that I don't have a choice because I have to take care of my family. And Narada says, no, you have a choice. And Narada appears whenever there's a problem, right? We saw when Dhruva had a problem, Narada appeared. And Parikshit, even before he was born, Narada was taking care of him. So after a few months, when he comes that side, he sees Marigari, who was like this, now like this, like a saint, and Sadhu, he's limping and coming. Narada asked, what happened to your leg? He said, no, nothing, I'm fine. Then why are you limping? He said, no, on my way, I see some ants. I didn't want to put my foot on the ant and kill them. So I had to limp to save those ants. And Narada Muni was stunned. He asked, now, how do you manage the living? He says that ever since I changed and people started feeling I've become very devotional, they've started giving so much of food, right? Because sadhus those days will be taken care by the people. So because charity not so heard these days, but people used to do charity, and he completely reformed, right? So this guy, tell me one thing. This guy, when he was killing animals, which mode was he in? Which mode was he in when he was killing animals? Can anyone tell which mode? Today everybody is very silent. I don't know. They're sleepy.
Ignorance.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Perfect. He's in the mode of ignorance. And now tell me which mode is he in when he's a sadhu?
Goodness.
That's what even we think, but it's not even goodness. It's about goodness. We saw in the second chapter, right? Traigunya Vishya Vega, Nishtraigunyo Bhavajuna, Nirbando Nitya Satyasya, Niryoga Kshemat Mavan. Go above the three modes. So he's gone even above the three modes of goodness and into pure transcendental. Transcendental mode means only thinking of Krishna and doing everything for the happiness of Krishna. So he's gone into a mode called Suddha Sattva. So for someone who is in the mode of ignorance, and if we can go to that extremely high mode of pure goodness, then it's not difficult for us. But jumping modes, super jump, it's very difficult. So we will do one at a time. So answer is, can you actually jump from one mode to another? Yes, you can. Just like how you see a lot of a guy who is here, he will be so proper, he will be doing all puja, he goes to US and he now goes with the drink bottle, a cigarette packet and a girl. How that is possible, vice versa is also possible. So someone who's smoking with the girl is in the worst abominable state of ignorance can suddenly become a sannyasi. Example, Prabhupada's live example is hippies. They had all abominable habits, right? They used to smoke, they used to drink, they used to eat animals, they used to have relationship with all women. I mean, or even women used to have, right? For them, sex used to be a part of their life. I mean, just like any common food. So they have all changed, right? So they were all in mode of ignorance. And they've all now become Suddha Sattva. So for all of us, the mode which we are born, many times we tell, what can I do? My dad is like this, my mother is like that, I got their blood. Yes, you are born in the family because you deserve that blood. But the fact is, to change or not is in your hands. You still can put your efforts and do change to the good, right? So this is the story of Brigari, and I assume you would have not heard the story earlier. Am I right, or do you already know the story? First time? Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. With this, any other doubts? If there are no doubts, we'll end the chapter. And 7 of you all are there. It'll be nice. We are on the 15th chapter, so we can do one round of japa. Can anyone initiate or volunteer for one round? Hare Krishna. Tell me Hare Krishna. We can stop the recording and we can do the japa. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Who would like to chant today? Prabhu, you can stop the recording.